Ooh, that looks tasty.
Astrology, a way to look at the stars and see, if you look close enough. A way for the constellations to go to war and kick each other's butts.
Welcome, folks. Today, the Hungry Gamer is back with another Kickstarter preview, and today we are talking about Zodiac War, designed by Paul Starr and art by Katerina Polyakova and Connor Smith. And I do apologize if I said any of those names incorrectly. Now, before I get started, please make sure you turn on your Klingon subtitles, because if I make any rules errors, that's where you'll find the corrections. And in addition, I do need to point out that this is just a prototype and is subject to change. Now, what Zodiac War is it is a 2 to 4 player competitive game in which you are the namesakes behind the various astrological signs that you may have: Capricorn, Libra, Leo, and all of those, and you are basically battling for dominance through manipulation of the cosmos and astrology. Now, if you are not interested in how this game is played, just want to jump ahead to my final thoughts, then you're going to want to jump to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let's talk about how this game works. So what you have here in the middle is you have 3 rings. You have the element ring here in the middle, and you can see that rotates, and the planet ring as well on the outside, and you see that rotates as well. The center ring that has all of the sun signs, I believe they are called, does not rotate at all. And at the beginning of the game, what's going to happen is each player will pick one of the different constellations or signs to play, and they will be championing. So just for the sake of argument, I'm just going to grab Aries here and Gemini. Then each player picks a color. We will make Gemini here green. And what you do is you look at what their planet is, their ruling planet, which is Mercury. And then you place a ring in your color over Mercury. And then you check what their sign is right here. And then you place the other one on that there. It's also important to note what the element sign is for each one, and that is noted right there, Gemini being air. And then I would do the same thing for Aries with Mars and his sign as well. And I'll note that Aries' sign is fire. And each of the different signs has a different special power, which I'm not going to get into, but just know that each of them does have their own. Then what I like to do is I also then grab just a couple discs and I place them on each individual player's player board just to make it easy to track who is who. Then each player will get 5 tarot cards dealt to them, like so, and then you are ready to start the game. The winner of the game is going to be the person who is able to obtain 3 star crystals first. You get star crystals by purchasing them at the end of a round, and you purchase them with faith. How do you get faith, you ask? That is a fantastic question, because that is the entire purpose of the game. So let's go over how a turn works, and through that you will be able to see how you get all the faith that you need. At the beginning of a turn, you will draw a Zodiac card. So what's going to happen when you draw your Zodiac card is you're going to simply go from top to bottom. You're going to rotate 1 time the element wheel in the middle. Then you're going to rotate Eris, which is the planet shown here, around until it matches the sign of the active player. And if you had to move more than 4 spaces, you would gain the reward in the middle of 2 faith. Then the active player gains the bonus right there, in this case 1 tarot card. And then if any player, if their sign matches what's in this box here, they suffer that benefit or penalty. In this case, that would be 3 faith, a tarot card, lose a tarot card, or lose 3 faith. So if we pretend that that was Aries' turn, I'll just put the little red one out here so we can track a little bit. What would happen is first we would rotate the center wheel 1 space, like so. Then I would rotate around until Eris is lined up with Aries' sign. And you always rotate clockwise unless otherwise said. And I would go all the way around here, like so. And if I went more than 4 spaces, which I did, Aries would gain 2 faith, like so. Then Aries gains a single tarot card, like so. And then we go through and we see, does anybody match that symbol? Well, Aries doesn't, but Gemini does, so Gemini would also gain a single tarot card. like so. Then you would discard your Zodiac card and would move into the turn. From here, what you're trying to do is you are trying to line up your sign, your planet, and your element. And by doing so, that's going to earn you faith because the planets are all aligning in a way that makes people want to follow you. And you will get more or less faith depending on what you are able to align. So you get some faith if you're able to align your planet and your sign. You get a little bit less faith if you are able to align your sign and your element, or the F there is kind of a wild card. Or you'll get the most faith if you are able to line up your element, your sign, and your planet. You can also line it up here, but you get slightly less faith still. The best is if you can get all three lined up. Also, if you can get all three lined up, you will be able to spend 10 faith to purchase a star crystal, i.e., how you win the game. And so I know the next question is, well, how do I make this thing turn? Because if we're just letting the Zodiac card do the turning, then it's just random. That would be right. Luckily, you have your hand of cards. And so what you are going to do on your turn is you are going to play 3 of them. And if you have 3 cards, you must play 3 cards. The only difference are the ones that have the Roman numerals in the top left. Those are major arcana cards, these being minor arcanas, and you can play one of these if you have one in addition to your 3 cards. And so what will happen is you'll be playing them out on the board, and you play them face down, but I'll do them face up for now, like so. And I will also put my arcana off to the, or my major arcana off to the side. And then when it comes time for your turn, you simply go through in order of what you have. So the very first thing that I would do is I would do my major arcana. I find new meaning, play this card and take any card from the discard pile. Simple enough, that's done, then this would go into the discard pile. Then the orientation of where these cards are in my line here is what determines what happens. Because you'll see each one has 3 different symbols on it. So, and the way I have it set up right now, the first thing would happen is my opponent would lose 4 faith, and then this would be discarded. The second thing that would happen is I would get to rotate one of the wheels 3 spots, and that could be the inner wheel or the outer wheel. And then the last thing here is I would get 5 faith. And then there are also bonuses if the person playing it, if their sign happens to match the sign on the card. And again, just to show you very quickly how it works, if this was actually my turn, what would happen is like so. First, my opponent loses 4 faith. Then I could rotate a wheel 3 spaces. And so just for argument, I will rotate 1, 2, 3. And then the last card would get me 5 faith. Then I would check to see if I have any alignment and get whatever bonus faith I get for that. At the end of the turn, I can purchase more tarot cards at a cost of 2 faith for 1 card. Then we go to the next player and you start again. That's it. That's how this game is played. And you're going again, you're going to play around and around and around until somebody is able to get 3 of the star crystals and then the game is over. So what do I like about this game? The first thing is I really like this artwork. I gotta say, I don't know if it's based on existing astrology or whatever, because I don't know much about it, but I do think the artwork is pretty darn awesome. I really, really like the artwork. And along with that, I like the bits of astrological bonus knowledge that you get on the bottom of these cards, because this is not something I know anything about, and I do find it pretty darn interesting. And so I certainly appreciate that. I also think the board is fun. It has a good toy factor to it. It is fun spinning these things around and trying to get them to line up, and it is a fun puzzle, especially because you have some major arcanas that let you rotate the other direction or whatever it may be, and it is a very fun puzzle. I think the core gameplay of the game is very solid. It's not overly complicated what you're trying to do, though it certainly is complicated to actually do it. But the basics of you're making your program and you're putting them out, you're revealing them one at a time. And I didn't mention it before, but there are certain cards that are interrupt cards. So if, say, I was flipping over my second card here, someone else could play an interrupt. And I will say that in the actual cards, there will be a symbol down at the bottom that would notate this as an interrupt. But now my interrupting card would suddenly change what's happening in the middle. So if I know by them rotating that's going to be able to let them purchase a star crystal, I can do an interrupt and then stop it. And I think that is a very clever bit of player interaction. And I certainly appreciate that. I think that really does bring a bit of tension into the game. And then finally, I appreciate the asymmetric characters that you can play. They all have one ability that you can use maybe every round, maybe a little bit less, but they're all different and they all feel useful. Some do feel a little more situational than others, but when that situation comes up, they feel like they are maybe a little bit more powerful. All of that I certainly do appreciate. I think it is a very clever puzzle and a very clever way of solving and manipulating that puzzle. So, what are my quibbles with the game? And the first one is it can be, if you are not familiar with astrology, it can take a little longer than I feel like it should to figure out exactly what you are doing. I know the first time that I played this, I was going back to the rule book and checking things over and over to make sure I knew what a sun sign was versus the elements and exactly what the scoring was and what had to line up. It's just all foreign to me. And so that took a little longer than I would have liked. I think if they include just a basic player aid scoring cheat sheet as far as how the aligning of the planets goes, I think that will go a long way to making the game play a little bit quicker, especially in early plays. But my other quibble is this is a game that feels like it is about planning and a lot of planning and planning out the perfect way to attack. And then maybe you get messed with a little bit, or maybe you mess with somebody a little bit and they foul up your perfect plan, but it's not. This game is actually pretty chaotic, and I like a chaotic game. My wife does not like chaos in her game. She likes to be able to make a long term plan. And so if you're someone that wants to be able to make a long-term plan, well, don't be fooled. This is not a game about long-term planning because you never know what you need to do because at the beginning of every turn, these Zodiac cards come out, and I really like these Zodiac cards. I like the way they work. I like the way it's giving you resources, but every single time it significantly changes the orientation of the board. And that means your plan no longer works and you have to come with a new plan on the fly. And as a result of that, what happens is the game is prone to potential analysis paralysis because there are so many variables with the two rotating discs and all the different things out there that a lot of things can happen. Not to mention, you then have to spend time to work out your program and exactly what order do you want to do it. And you're going to spin one, then do we want to attack somebody? Or. It's a very fun, kind of brain burning thing. But again, you have to do that when it gets to your turn. So the game can go a little slower than I think it wants to. That said, the game still plays in under an hour, at least with two players. I suspect with four players, it's probably longer than an hour, but there definitely does mean there will be downtime when it is not your turn as you wait for people to figure out what it is that they want to do. So just be aware of that. And the only other thing that I'll add in is that this is a cutthroat game. And I think that it will be an especially cutthroat game if you're playing in 3 or 4 players because there will be the temptation to gang up on the leader and hit them with all of the interrupt cards that you can to keep them from winning. And if you are not someone that enjoys a cutthroat game, and I think this is a cutthroat game, then this might be a turnoff for you. Yes, you can house rule it and mitigate it a little bit and say, you know what, interrupt cards don't interrupt, but you still have those faith cards that can attack other players, the negative faith cards. Just the warning that if you're not into a cutthroat game, then maybe this isn't the game for you. But if you're into a cutthroat game, well, you're welcome. Go cut some throats. There you have it, folks. That is the Zodiac War. I think this is doing some stuff different than any other game that I have. And I have to send this on to somebody else, so I won't have this. But I don't have any games that work like this. That you're literally manipulating the board in this manner. And I think that's very, very cool. And so I think if you're looking for something that will be unique on your shelf, then this will be unique on your shelf. And I think if you like programming, then this could be a game for you with the caveat that you have to be okay with chaos and you have to be okay with making your choices on your turn without a lot of time for planning. So there you have it, folks. That is the Zodiac War. I gotta say, I did not know what to expect with this game, but it is an intriguing game. The gameplay of it is intriguing. I would be very interested in playing this at 4 players with people who all already knew how the game worked, just to kind of see how that goes. It is simple, but there's a lot to think about as you play. As always, if I made any mistakes in the rules description, please let me know in the comments with the timestamp. I'll get that into the Klingon subtitles. If this video was useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.